Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here and I want to share. I am a student of leadership. I have been very blessed. I was born in Sri Lanka, studied in England, accidentally went to Singapore, and accidentally joined the Overseas Chinese Banking Corporation and headed the consulting arm, and then I became special assistant to the group chairman. He was chairman of 8 of the biggest companies in Singapore, starting from Robinsons, OCBC, Great Eastern Life, Fraser and Neve, all these companies. So I'm fascinated by leadership. Why is it that companies fail? The world is over-managed and under-led. Do you agree? And I'm going to talk about this in a practical way. Everything I say is not from books, my experience. So I'm going to share with you my experience. And the first thing, all of us here do not suddenly become leaders. Anybody who's born a leader? Nobody is born. When Jack Welch was born, the mother didn't say, oh, he's a leader. Nobody. So we all start in a technical field. I'm a chartered accountant. The moment I qualified, I moved out of accountancy and helped companies to use finance to improve their performance. So we start off as technical. Then we become a supervisor. For the first time, we supervise other people. And therefore, you must be good at getting on with people. I'm blessed that I went through tremendous problems in life. I lost my father when I was 18. So as a result of which, I've learned a lot of experiences, how to get on with people. Then after that, you become a manager, where you're dealing with many people. Managing we'll go into that later. And finally, you become a leader, and then you become a great leader. So I'm going to start with, as an individual, as a technical person, as a chartered accountant, as an engineer, as an architect, you start off with a dream. Anybody here didn't start off with a dream? Everybody starts with a dream. But once you start off with a dream, you make a clearer picture of that dream. It's a vision. But vision without action is hallucination. Action without vision is chaos. So then you have to set goals. Goals have to be smarter goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, trackable, and enjoyable, and also rewarding. I don't like the word smart because it must be rewarding and enjoyable, smarter. And then we are going, don't worry, you'll get a copy of these notes so that you can keep it. And I would advise you to make a copy of it and put it under your pillow when you go to sleep tonight. It seeps through much better. Then your success depends on the 6 or 7 C's. I like C's. First, you must believe in what you do, conviction. Second, you must have commitment. Then you must have the competence. You can have all the conviction, all the commitment, but you're not competent. You will not succeed. And then you have to have the courage of your conviction. And then you must move on to character. Character is very important. Integrity. All the convictions are useless. People, if you are not honest. Therefore, character is very important, and creativity, and in the middle of all this is caring. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This is very, very important. So I think the 7 C's are very important. So once we get through the technical side, then you become a manager. The first 3 letters of management is man. That's wrong, because women stand for something more powerful. Women stand for we organize men. We organize men. The Minister of Manpower, who's a lady, told me the other day, I knew her when she was at university, I'm going to change it to we order men. Because women are very important in my life. I have 7 aunts, or had 4 sisters, 1 wife, 1 daughter, and 2 female dogs. I'm controlled by ladies. So very, very important for us to understand. So all of us have been through the technical side, am I right? Anybody who didn't and suddenly became a supervisor and a manager, please put your hands. Not likely, right? So therefore, what we learn, and I came from a Sri Lankan culture, went to England. In my first year, my father died and went through lots of problems. But I was fortunate and blessed that my old chaplain from my school, who was an Englishman, was my guardian, and my principal, who I was articled, also was my guardian, and I was looked after reasonably well. So what is managing? Managing is achieving results through and with people. Not with animals or birds, through and with people. Management is getting the results through and with people. How? Management activities. What are the management activities? First, you must plan, organize, coordinate, and monitor. You never control anybody. Anybody controls anybody, please let me know. You can't. I can't even control my own daughter. My daughter is American trained. She's a teacher at the Singapore American School. I always tell her, when I was a little boy, when I looked at my father looked at me, I looked down. Now if I look at my daughter, she says, "What's your problem, Daddy?" It's a different world. Therefore, we have to also learn to handle millennials, not the old days. When you tell something, they'll do it. Now you have to persuade them. Am I right? Is it different in Australia? It's the same all over the world. So therefore, let's look at the important things of management. The first three letters. Human relations is a very important skill. EQ is much more important than IQ. Emotional intelligence. We'll talk about that later. Anybody here does not disagree or disagree with me about human relations, because the ability to get on, to excite, to energize, to motivate people is the key to success. Am I right? Yes. Everywhere it's the same. Then there are 4 F's. I like acronyms and alliterations. Not the F's that Ivan is thinking about, but the 4 F's. You must be friendly with people. You must be fair with people. You must be frank with people. But you must be firm. You see, when I ran a Great Eastern Life, we had very, very bad lapsation. That means policies are given up in 3 years. And then the agents, I had to change them a lot. And then once you become friendly, fair, frank, but you also must be firm. So very important for us to think in terms of problems. Whenever you have a problem, you must address the problem, not the person. For example, if there is a problem and I come and say, "What the hell have you done?" What is your reaction? You defend. If I say, what went wrong with this? Would you join me in solving the problem? So address the problem, not the person. Second, maintain the self-esteem of the person. And finally, maintain cordial relationships. So this is very important, because management leading and managing people. The ability to get on with people is 90% of the success. I was very lucky. I went into an organization called OCBC. I was the first non-Chinese to join. Then I became special assistant to the group chairman. He always asked me, "How do you get on with these people? You don't even speak their language." I said, "I respect people. Treat people the way you like to be treated." Anybody here likes to be treated badly? None of us. So therefore, treat people well and you get on, because success as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor is all to do with your ability to get on with people. You can work 24 hours a day, you achieve nothing. But you can work 10% of the time, exciting, energizing, caring for people. You'll have tremendous success. I've seen this in the British culture, Sri Lankan culture, Singaporean culture, Australian culture. And communication is very important. The art of informing and persuading others. Very important. How should this be? It should be simple. Do not use words that you have to look at 3 different dictionaries. Second, you must be concise. Third, you must be comprehensive. And fourth, you must listen more than you talk. You know, the word listen has the same letters of the alphabet as silent. You must shut your mouth and listen. L-I-S-T-E-N is S-I-A-E-L-E-N-T. Listening is very important. And in communication, it's very important to listen more than you talk, because God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth. If not, He would have given us 1 mouth, one ear and 2 mouths. Talk less, listen more. And Ivan has improved a lot over there. Yeah. He listens a lot. Huh?
Only marginal improvement.
Yeah. No, but he's something that marginal for him is very substantial. So then emotional intelligence. But before that, communication, there are three parts to a communication: verbal, vocal, and visual. Verbal is my words. Vocal is my tone. If I say, ladies and gentlemen, how are you getting on? How long will you listen to me? If I raise my voice, pause, and then the visual is hand movements, eye contact. Which is the most important thing, vocal, visual, or verbal? Sorry?
All three.
No, most important. Most important, visual. In the communication, I worked with a man, very famous man called Bert Decker. He's an American communication guru. He teaches presidents how to get on. And he taught me these three things. Verbal is only 7%. Vocal is 38%. Visual is 55%. I want you to do something, just follow what I do. Put your hands out, raise your hand, bring it down, bring it to your right, and touch your chin. Where is your chin? Your chin is here. You see, you do what you see, not what you do. So very important. So visual is very, very important. And then major factors in the success of an individual is knowing one's emotions, managing one's emotions, motivating oneself, and recognizing emotions in others. EQ is very important. I would say whatever I have achieved is 95% my IQ. 5% is my IQ. 95% is my EQ. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Emotional intelligence is so important in getting on with people. Teamwork is very important. So you motivate them, listen to them, address the problem, not the person, get them excited, energized together, and build a team. What does team stand for? TEM. Together, everyone achieves more. Together, everyone achieves more. How? When the members of the team are positive and goal-directed, and when they see the objectives of the department as greater than their own, and when they build a solidarity with the group. You see, you play in a football team. The man who scores the goal gets all the credit, all the money, all the recognition. Who cares as long as the team wins? So putting together is very important. And then when this happens, you build a solidarity with the group. Morale is high, leads to extraordinary performance, lower expense ratio, and higher profitability. Do you agree? Very important. Just think about it. And then we have talked about individuals, technical. We talked about supervisors. We talked about managers. Now I'm going to talk about the most important thing. The world is overmanaged and underled. If you look at the world, why is it that some companies are successful, others do not become successful? It's not because of lack of technical expertise, not because of managers, lack of leaders. And when you look at companies, the best companies in the world, Nokia, Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC, all these companies consistently win, and then they disappear. Why? Because there are no proper leaders. But why? They perform so well, and yet they go down very fast. There's an excellent book written by a friend of mine from Hamish University called The Self-Destructive Habits of Good Companies. 7. First is complacency. Second is arrogance. Third is denial. Fourth is volume obsession. Fifth is marketing myopia. We just look at ourselves. Then sixth is competency dependence. And finally, enormous competency dependence. And finally, territorial warfare. Accounts don't get on with marketing hates production, and nobody gets on. Team spirit is gone. Any company in the world, there's politics. Anywhere, do you find any company? Therefore, how do you minimize this? So the leaders are very important. Look at companies. Look at Singapore. Was a country, before I went to Singapore, when Lee Kuan Yew separated from Malaysia, the per capita income was $1,000. We have absolutely no natural resources. No agriculture, no animal husbandry, no oil, no gas, no water, nothing. And today, our per capita income is one of the highest in the world. Singapore separated from Malaysia, $1 was 1 ringgit. Today, $1 is 3.3 ringgits. Why? Leadership. Leaders who are committed, work as a team, working together. Look at Mr. Lee Kuan Yew told an interview that when he was on his own, he said, my vision for Singapore is to become like Sri Lanka, Ceylon. Today, Sri Lanka is very bad. Divided, we fall. We went on the language issue, racial issue, religious issue. In Singapore, we have 75% of our people are Chinese. Only 8% are people like me. Today, the governor of the central bank, the deputy prime minister, the chairman of the biggest institution, the chief justice, all are people like me. It is meritocracy, nothing to do with race, language, or religion. If you talk about anything criticizing another race or religion, you are locked up immediately. That's how you prevent it. Look at Sri Lanka, one of the biggest. World Bank predicted the 3 biggest countries in the economy in the world: Singapore, Myanmar, and Philippines. Sri Lanka, not Singapore. Today, all 3 are bad. So meritocracy, dealing with people based on their merits, not on their religion, race, or language, is the way to build teams. If you are selecting a football team, you select the best. And that's very difficult to do in countries like Sri Lanka. So sad, potential is enormous. So who are these people called leaders? Leaders are people who are agile, flexible, and also who can anticipate change and respond instantly to new realities. There's a lovely saying by Warren Bennis: when the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight. When the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight. And in order to overcome that, you must have the 4 F's. You must be fast, focused, flexible, but must have fun. Very important. Look at this. Change. When the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight. Mastering change. Fast, focused, flexible, and have fun. Look at companies today. Kodak and a company called Fujitsu. Same business. Kodak is gone. Fujitsu has moved. Fast, focused, flexible. They have said, we have a thing called collegium. We are not in the photographic only. And today they are one of the biggest in cosmetics and healthcare. Just Google Fujitsu. Amazing. Look at IBM. Look at digital equipment. I was chairman of a software company. We were the distributors for digital. The largest and the most advanced mini computer in the world, it's gone, disappeared. When the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight. By the way, it also applies to families. When you get married, hello darling, how are you doing, spend time, then it starts moving the other way. So I have learned very importantly, I take it that my wife is the most intelligent person in the world. That's why I listen to her. Why is she intelligent? Because she chose me. That is brilliant. But very important, you must have a sense of humor. And then Ivan knows my wife, and I know Ivan's wife. Always listen to. You know the real secret of happy marital life, do you want to know? Is mutual understanding, where it pays for the husband to be the mute. If you win an argument with your wife, you lose the war. Am I right? So never, I just agree with whatever my wife says. You see, those days are different. Today, it's a different world. What is the difference between a manager and a leader? First, manager accepts the status quo. The leader challenges the status quo. Otherwise, he never change. When the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight. And I love the word challenge, because in the middle of challenge is my name, Allan. Very interesting. I came across this when I was talking at a world conference, Challenges of the 21st Century. And I love challenge. Second, the manager focuses on the bottom line. The leader focuses on the horizon. He looks at what's going on. He does spend more time looking strategically, not tactically. Manager looks tactically. We'll talk about that later. Then the manager asks how and when. The leader asks what and why. The manager relies on control. The leader relies on trust. Think about this. And these are the qualities of a leader: challenging, horizon, what, why, and trust. And then finally, the manager does the things right. The leader does the right things. This is efficiency. This is effectiveness. Doing the things right is efficiency. Doing the right things is effective. I follow the famous rule, I think I'm going to refer to that later, 80-20-80 rule. 80% of my time I spend on 20% of the activities that produce 20% of my results. MIT recently did a study that 80% of your products contribute to 20% of the profits. I want you to analyze your customers and see. It's amazing how that happens. How do you can't get rid of these people. There's a book called Islands of Profitability in an Ocean of Red Ink. It's a beautiful book, and it's very difficult. You see, you think you're making money. The moment you cut away this unprofitable, your profits go up, because your profits are all subsidized, or the losses are subsidizing. So look at these things and focus on the right things. We'll talk about that in a two tests of leadership. Winning for today, and winning for today and building for tomorrow. Are you building for tomorrow? Or are you just looking at today? You see, I learned this from my chairman. He was chairman of 8 or 9 public companies, the biggest. And he taught me one beautiful thing. He taught me more finance than I learned as a chartered accountant. He has never been to a university. He can smell money. English educated man, but speaks very good English, Chinese, Tan Sri Tan Chin Tuan. And you know, he told me once, very interesting, you go to a doctor. What does the doctor do? Does he spend 1 hour with you? 10, 15 minutes. What does he do? He looks at the KPIs, key performance indicators, right? Your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and then if that is okay, he's fine. If not, you delve into the problems. Now, when you look at cholesterol, there are 2 things, HDL and LDL. H1 is the happy one. L is the lousy one. So you must make the happy ones higher and the lousy ones lower. So what he says is spend little time. And I learned 7 KPIs. Sales, cost of sales, gross margin, overheads, profit, accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, and work in progress. That's all I have to do. You do that, you improve. You can improve the revenue and improve the profitability and cash flow. Revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity. Cash is king or queen. Am I right? Sorry, queen or king. The world is over-managed and under-led. So you have to focus on those things. 80% of your time spent. When I went to Great Eastern Life, the lapsation was 40%. That means within 3 months, 40% were returned. People were selling on the need, on the greed for their commission, not the need for your client. So you must bring the passion into the business. Of course, you can't bring passion into certain type of businesses. I asked my agent, Is this product the best product we are able to sell? It minimizes to overcomes the financial difficulty of old age, disability, and demise. And people who live long pay for those who die early. People who get disabled are paid for those who live ably. Beautiful business. So if this business is beautiful, why are you doing this badly? I said, if you were selling it to your brother, sister, aunt, uncle, will you sell on the needs of their client or the greed for your commission? So once you bring the passion, the purpose, you excite them. And we transform the company to a lapsation of 6%. And when I went into Great Eastern Life, the premium income was 200 million. 12 years later, it was 2.11 billion. The highest growth rate, not me, team. Together, everyone achieves more. I spent 80% of my time spending on 20% of the activities, which is agents. And they were shocked. CEO comes down to me. They changed. But you must change with values, with commitment. And then once you do that, you move. Fundamental beliefs. Winners are judged by sustained success. Companies are leaders at every level. The best way to get leaders is leaders develop leaders. You cannot get, I'm an adjunct professor at 2 universities. You can't get professors teaching you leadership. They know the theory, but they don't know the practice. That's why they bring people like us, adjunct professors, to help on the theory. And then to develop leaders, you must have a teachable point of view. And then to develop others, you need a teaching methodology. So basically, what is the methodology? First, in a company, you must have ideas. What is the strategy? How do you make money? How do you win in the marketplace? Then you must have values. What are the values? You're not just making money. You must treat customers well, treat your staff well, treat the community well. And once you have values, and then the emotional energy and the edge is to make the tough decisions. And then reality, you must objectively and realistically analyze the hand you have been dealt with. Nothing you can do. If the economy is bad, you can't do anything about it. Only the brighter fellows like all of you here will do better. No point saying, oh, I'm in a bad way. In a bad way, you can make more money because 90% will say, I can't do anything. So look at the opportunity in every difficulty, not difficulty in every opportunity. Very important. Hand you are building a teachable point of view, ideas, values, and then you must have a compete in the marketplace. That's ideas. How do you remain a sustainable competitive advantage in terms of product, in terms of service? We were talking earlier on that customers are very important. You see, when we have got the ladder of sales, a suspect becomes a prospect becomes a customer becomes a client becomes an enormous advocate, an advocate becomes your confidant. So you must be able to convert your customers to become clients. Give extraordinary service not only price-wise, value-wise, and they will become your advocates. You're wasting your time looking only for new people. These are the people who will recommend. In the life insurance business, you give extraordinary service. Every client will recommend 4 or 5 people. And if 4 or 5 recommend another 4 or 5, you have got unlimited. But you must start with the basic premise. I want to give extraordinary service. Service that nobody else will give. And that is very important. And then financial soundness, return on equity. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is queen or king. So always return on equity is profit over the investment, which is a function of the 7 KPIs I talked about. Sales, cost of sales, margin, profit, gross margin, overheads, net profit, accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, and work in progress. So these are simple things. Reward stakeholders. And then finally, business ideas for major transformation. I asked the question in Great Eastern Life, what is our business? Why are we doing this? And when they realize that what we are doing is extraordinary, they will do it with integrity, with honesty, with excitement and energy. Do you agree? So very important. And the why is very important. And some years ago, I was asked to speak at a world conference, tobacco conference. And I decided to turn it down because I was a chain smoker. I smoked 40 to 50 cigarettes a day. And my wife persuaded me to give it up before I married her. And that was a condition, that every cigarette I smoked, she was going to smoke too. I had to give it up. Of course, to give it up, she gave me some substitutes. I can't go into details today. And I gave it up. So I said to the tobacco people, I'm not free. I didn't want to say. Because if I went and excited the tobacco salesman, I'm helping them to kill more and more people. So values are very important. And then passion. Once you know why, passion, you're passionate about something. And once you are passionate, you give extraordinary service and values. And then when you give extraordinary service and value, opportunities open up. And then when you do that, financial reward is there. And it helps you to achieve your lifestyle. You see, in life, we all do this to make money. We all do this to become successful. But when we become very successful, we look after other people's families, not your own. Am I right? Many people, particularly in the life insurance business. So I think it's very important for us to passion, service. This will excite, energize, and enthuse your people. So ask yourself, of course, if you're in a business that's hurting people, you can't have passion. Am I right? So passion gives service and values, opportunity, financial reward, and excite and energize and enthuse people. How leaders use ideas. Leaders, like I did with my Great Eastern Life, with CSA, which I was chairman of, articulate a set of ideas, how to make money in the marketplace. Second, they tie them together and they communicate them to everyone. And more is they keep them up to date. But my dear friends, all this is useless if you don't walk the talk. A leader must walk the talk. Any leader who talks, but does not walk the talk, nobody will follow. Same with our families. We tell our children, don't smoke. After dinner, you rush out and have a smoke. You expect them to follow you. You look after parents, the children see us looking after parents. They will do that to you when you're older. If you don't walk the talk, nothing happens. You can talk. Talking is simple, very easy. Leaders instill values. They articulate a set of values. They personally embody those values by walking the talk. And then they also counter pockets of ignorance and resistance, and they review them. So ultimately, a set of ideas will meet the following. They will complement each other. Ideas, values, emotional energy, and edge. And values will be clear and action-oriented. And finally, they will energize your people. So ideas, how to win in the marketplace. Values, how to behave in the marketplace. Not just your customers, your staff. You can't tell people to be nice to customers, but not nice to your people. Emotional energy and edge. Willingness to ability to confront realities and make the tough decisions on people. Promoting successes and confronting failures. This is very tough to confront failures. And then strategy, pursuing new businesses and abandoning the old ones. Crisis, times of difficulty, how do you handle? People is very important. Getting everything, managing is getting results through and with people. Leading people. So people are very important. They are the people who contribute. We are just leaders, but they are the people who contribute. Generating ideas, developing values. Tough leadership communication is very important. And finally, where are we going stories? All the time, you must excite your people. We have done so much. I'm very grateful to all of you. Let us move forward. And these are the case for change. Why things cannot remain. When the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight. So how do we say? We must change. And then a vision for where we are going so that they will know what to aim for. And finally, how will we get there? And all this is very important. And I use the 7S model of McKinsey and Harvard University in every company to analyze the gaps. First, what is the strategy? Second, what is the organizational structure? Third, what are the systems? Fourth, what is the staff? Fifth, skills and style and shared values. You'll notice the strategy, structure, and systems are the hard ones. Soft ones are staff, skills, and style. So people are very important. So people management. Every successful human being I deal with, the real success is not them. The ability to have high emotional energy, how EQ, excite them, energize them, enthuse them, so that they will perform extraordinary service. And this is a very good model McKinsey used, Jack Welch used. People whose performance is low and their operational values are low. They are the people you must say, thank you so much. Go and join our competitor. Goodbye. Second are the people whose performance is high and performance is low, but values are high. Give them a second chance. But the people whose performance is high and the values are high, these are the top people. But the tough people whose performance is high, but the values, performance is low, but the values are high. Very, very difficult. So you have to focus on these people and changing these people or saying goodbye to them. And you must make the tough decision. Otherwise, others will see that you're not being fair and they won't perform. They'll become the others. One bad apple in a basket of apples will spoil the whole apples. And then finally, leadership style. Effective, doing the right things, smart, and 80-20-80 rule. You must spend 80% of your time or the majority of your time on those activities that impact the most on your profitability and exciting. And then efficient is doing the things right. Strategic management. This is very important. Once you do the strategic analysis of the 7S model, look at your marketing. Marketing is product, price, placement, promotion. The whole 5 Ps that excite people to buy. Then you have the operations. Then you work on innovations. You're doing all the time innovations. Then human resource. And then finance. Ultimately, this is the important part. Because if you do not have a good return on equity and your value of company is going up, nobody will give money to you. No bank will lend money to you. If your return on investment is lower than your bank borrowing rate, they wouldn't touch you. So this is where a man called Alan Mills, who introduced me to Ivan, he's got a 7 cash flow story, prime moving and strategic. Profitability and capital efficiency focus on the return on investment. If not for that, nobody will touch us. Nobody will put money in. And then how return is margin times velocity, and margin times velocity is equal to a return on equity. Your margin you're making times how many times you're turning over your total assets, net assets, gives you the profit. So profit over sales times sales over assets. So if you knock off this, profit over assets. And the 7 things you have to look at: sales, cost of sales, overheads, gives you the profit. Balance sheet management, accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, and work in progress. If you do all this, the 4 drivers of profit: price, volume, direct cost, overheads, and then the 4 drivers of capital efficiency are accounts receivable, inventory, accounts payable, and work in progress. Remember, you will make the tough decisions if you are firmly ground yourself in your ideas and values, qualities of a great leader. I love acronyms and alliterations. The word leader I have an acronym. And that summarizes everything I've taught today. First, L stands for listen. Listen to people because God has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen. Listen to your customers. Listen to your staff. And then you have, second, empathy. I look at from your point of view, not my point of view. Customer, staff. And then third is attitude. It's your attitude and not your aptitude that determines your altitude in life. Your positive attitude. Once you do this, people are more positive. And then make the final decision. D. E. Energize your people. And then finally, resilience. So LEADER. Listening to people. This summarizes everything I've said. Have empathy from their point of view, not your point of view. But before you look at their point of view, take off your shoes. Otherwise, you'll be wearing 4 shoes. Theirs and yours. And then make the attitude and make the tough decisions, energize your people, and you will have resilience. So a teachable point of view is ideas, values, emotional energy, and edge. And the best way to do this is stories, stories, stories. If you look at all the religious leaders in the world, Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ, Buddha, the Hindu, all tell stories. Stories is the best way to excite people. Am I right? Stories. And you must tell real stories. Don't tell rough, bluff stories. And if you tell real stories, it makes a big difference. Great leaders build enduring thought through personal humility and also professional will. And finally, a sense of humor. Don't ever lose that sense of humor. The higher you get, the less humor we have. Life is all about fun. If you don't enjoy what you do, you won't do it long. Passion. And then finally, my dear friends, why did we start to work? Because we want to help ourselves and our families. The moment we become successful, we start looking after other people's families, particularly in the life insurance business, because 20% become very successful and they lose their heads. So $1 Million Roundtable developed a program called the whole person concept. First, work, of course, is where family. Father and mother, I love you, family. Never honor thy father and thy mother. I am what I am today is because I helped my whole family. I lost my father at 18. The more I gave, the more I was blessed. My mother preferred to live with us, her daughter-in-law, than 4 daughters, because she knew how much my wife sacrificed. Life is not everything. Today our families are close. Ivan was very nice. I lost my sister in an accident. He was on the west coast of America. He flew out to the east coast and spent 3 days with us. This is friendship. Family is very important. Health, exercise, then learning, continuous learning, community, and finally, we talked about community help the less fortunate people today. We call them in Singapore challenged, not handicapped. Challenge, I like the word challenge because in the middle of challenge is my name, Allan. And finally, spiritual, whatever your religion, live by whole person concept. So ladies and gentlemen, we started off about leadership, but you can't become a leader overnight. You start in a technical, all of you are leaders today. How did you become leaders? Technical, then managing, then leading, and then great leaders. And all the balance. There's a saying, you make your living by what you get. We make a life by what we give. The more you give, I can tell you from my experience, I sacrificed a lot. And the only reason I left Sri Lanka, I was doing very well. They brought, or they were going to threaten ceiling on income, where if you earn above a certain amount, they take it as compulsory saving and give it back when you die or leave the country. I said, let's leave the country. I couldn't manage, so I left. If not for the good I did, I would have never met. People all ask me, how did you join this Chinese bank? Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, I met him 3 years after I came. He said, Allan, how did you from Sri Lanka join this Chinese bank? I wanted to say God's blessing, but he doesn't believe in God. So I said, good luck. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about everything. What I have shared with you is my experience, not theory. If you can take some of it and make sure you take a copy of this and put it under your pillow, and it'll seep into your head faster. Practice little at a time. The longest journey in the world begins with the first step. Don't try to do too many things. Start changing. But the most important thing I have achieved is my ability to get on with people, because managing is getting results through and with people. Success is without through and with people. So if I can give you one message, human relations, emotional intelligence is one of the most important things. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and I'll be here to answer any questions you like, and I'll be delighted to help you in your journey of leadership success and corporate success and success of a country. Thank you so much.